Hello there, recruits. It's me, Nightwolf, and I know this video is incredibly late. I've been either under the weather for one reason or another, or other things have come up and I've been too busy. But I wanted to talk about this because it's kind of an important topic to me. Um, as many people are aware, uh, Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball and Dragon Quest and so many other things, recently passed away. He passed away on March 1st. And it's it's been a little tough, a little bit. That's kind of probably why I'm keeping myself kind of toned down. I'm being a bit more measured because but he was such an influential part of so many people's lives. And it's one of the first times in a while that I've seen like the anime community just like as a whole showing proper care and respect to somebody. Don't see that very often, especially not on Twitter. Uh, but I was really happy to hear it, and I was like, I should talk about it, not just because it's a topic that everybody is talking about, but it's also because Toriyama was actually Dragon. More importantly, I should say, Dragon Ball Z was one of the first anime I ever watched. Actually, in a sense, it was my first anime. Not entirely my first, because I had seen other animes in the past, like through syndication, some of them that were transported or imported to the West in the past. I saw a little bit of Speed Racer or Robotech, things like that. I'd seen some of it in my very early years, but Dragon Ball was the first thing that comes to mind when I think I finally realized what anime was. And I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people, but it was my first foray into it. Um, it's kind of interesting because most people mention like the situation with Toonami and when Dragon Ball was aired there, and I did watch Dragon Ball when it was aired there, but I remember before um, before Toonami and before Dragon Ball Z was airing on there, I was at every now and then we would visit my grandma and grandpa, and for a couple years, because we didn't really have cable, so when we went to grandma and grandpa's, they had like cable, so they had more channels, they had more shows on. We did not, but I remember I'm not 100% which dub it was. It could have been the Ocean dub, because I think that predates the Funimation dub of Dragon Ball. But I watched the first time I watched Dragon Ball was at my grandma's house, a few times. I don't remember like all the details, but for whatever reason, I was watching Dragon Ball, or not Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z, at her house. And eventually, obviously the Toonami thing came around, and me and my brother got really big into watching both that. We watched Dragon Ball. We also watched a lot of Sailor Moon and whatever other animes or shows that were on Toonami at the time. But it was but I think Dragon Ball was like my obsession. It definitely was my obsession. By the time I hit high school, Dragon Ball Z I became so obsessed with it. I was watching it every day, which I do sometimes with certain shows. The only time where I was like so dedicated that I didn't want to miss an episode was like back when Beast Wars first came out. So this was a big deal to me. I would watch every episode. I watched through the entirety of the original Dragon Ball series, or Dragon Ball Z series. Then eventually Toonami started airing Dragon Ball. It was either that or Adult Swim. I can't remember which. But eventually we got to watch Dragon Ball. And I was enamored with this show. I don't nowadays, obviously, like I have a very different feeling towards Dragon Ball, like as a whole. Like I don't enjoy it as much as I did when I was growing up, because I feel like I matured and my tastes kind of changed. But I still really respect and love the show for what it is and what it's done, the impact it's had on the Western world, or not just the Western world. What am I saying? The world in general, it's changed so much. Anime has become so much more popular and more mainstream now, and a lot of that is large due to Toriyama's impact on the industry and getting people involved in Dragon Ball, and or in some cases for some even before then maybe they played Chrono Trigger or the Dragon Quest games, and I got to play Dragon Quest. I've been a fan of Dragon Quest for a few years. It's not like my favorite role playing game ever, but I remember during the PS2 era when Dragon Quest 8 came out, I rented it. I tried it out. I did it solely because I was looking at the art and I was like, this looks like Dragon Ball. This reminds me of Dragon Ball. Heck, the main character even has like a Super Saiyan transformation. I was like, this is Dragon Ball. This is from the same creator. And it was. He's the designer for Dragon Quest and the designer for Chrono Trigger. And like I said, my obsession with Dragon Ball was very large, and like I'll even put it up on screen for you guys. Back in high school, I was drawing Dragon Ball characters all the time. The art that you're seeing right now was a project that I did about nearing the end of I think it was freshman year or something. It was either freshman or sophomore year. I don't remember, but I had a picture that I traced and then painted. I used one of those big projectors to do it. But yeah, I was obsessed. I was drawing characters like that, and even some of my own original characters I was working on at the time, even some of them they looked very much like Toriyama's work. I, of course, also one of my first fan art projects I did here in the VTubing community, obviously drawing my friend Gloria in a style akin to Dragon Ball as well. So obviously, like, that's been a big part of my life, and I wanted to share that and thank Toriyama for getting me obsessed with anime, because yeah, I might not be here if it wasn't for his work, and I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit and show some proper respect to the man. And I hope that his art continues to inspire people even way past his passing. But of course, with that said, guys, that'll be the end of this particular video. If you enjoyed it, please, of course, you can leave a like, you can shoot a comment, you can feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want. Go check me out on my other social medias, on Twitter or on Twitch if you are so inclined to do so. I'd appreciate the support. And with that said, I will see you guys on the next quest. Goodbye.